I'm here today with Robert Bollinger, the founder of Bollinger Motors, and they are very soon going to release the first ever electric truck. Is that right? Do I have that right?
Yeah, we called us the first ever all electric sport utility truck. So we kind of like bringing the truck back into the whole SUV world, which has been all like kind of luxury. Now we're bringing back like function and capability.
Every time I talk to someone about electric cars or electric vehicles, the first thing they say is, "Well, yeah, I mean, I'll drive an EV when they have an electric truck." That seems to be the common thing. Do you
Right.
think that that's accurate? Do people say that to you, or was that kind of your motivation behind the
Yeah, the
deal?
motivation behind what we created, the B1, was really just there's what I wanted to drive. So there was nothing out there in the market that I really wanted. I could really bring myself to buy. I had test driven a number of things, and I was like, I don't need a sedan, and I don't need a little hatchback, even though they're great at what they do. It just wasn't me, and I just couldn't quite do it. So that's why we're like, hey, let's build a truck that has all the stuff in it we want. So we just kind of listed all these things that would be really cool if they were in one thing. And so it's really about the truck and the capability, and the electric helps us get to that capability. So like the storage capabilities, the torque, all that kind of stuff is capable because it's electric. It's electric, and everything else it does is all wrapped up into one package that works well. A lot of the stuff it does, it would not be able to do if it was gas or diesel. So it's just all the great stuff in one is how we see it.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Has it been, you know, for you and your team? Was it like conception and then it just started, putting the pieces together, or was it a good gradual process, or what was that like for you and your team when you were
What
doing
had
it?
happened was early on, it was basically me and Carl Hacken, our chief engineer, and we're doing all the research into batteries and drivetrains and going to shows and trying to come up with our own thing that we wanted to do and how to get into having our own automotive company. Like, what does that even mean? So we're very, very naive at it and starting out, but like outside the circle of the world of automotive, if you will. And then suddenly the truck was a big aha moment for me. I had on one day, it was October 5th, I remember the day. And then, so what I wanted in a truck, what I wanted to have, just kind of all swirled together in this one thought. And then when I brought it back to the team, then it became like a million times better, because they're like, oh, we should also have this, and we can add portal gear hubs, and it can have this kind of ground clearance and this kind of, torque. And so it just got better and better and better over the course of the next, year and a half while we're making the prototype, engineering it, making the prototype. We wanted to make it a working prototype when we debuted it, so that we knew what we were talking about and that it came together the way we wanted to. So it just, for that 20 months, it just became what it was, what it is.
Uh-huh. Sounds like to me you the thing you wanted didn't exist, so you created it.
Exactly,
Right? Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I know there's a lot of EVs about to come out from a lot of OEMs,
Yeah.
and it'll be the same kind of stuff. They'll make the electric version of SUVs that are out there right now, and they'll be bought up like crazy, and they'll be great at what they do. But I think that no matter what comes out in the market, we'll still be different. There won't be, the big guys won't be making a pared down utilitarian, highly capable, crazy capable truck like that we're doing. So that's great. So they can keep putting in a million doodads, and that market is secure with them. But we just want to be always on the outside doing our own thing. So
Yeah, I think one of my favorite features of the B1 is, which is kind of I mean, maybe obvious to me, but a lot of people overlook it. But the ability to take the electricity out of the vehicle and use it for power tools or
right,
whatever.
yeah.
Was that how did you get to that point? Was that
Well,
your idea?
basically,
Or
when the main big concept of the truck came to me, I was on my farm up in the Catskills, and so I was just like I was out back actually with the dogs by the pond. But anyway, um, and I was just like, what would I need here? And so my side of the truck is the being able to put the 12-foot boards through the middle and plywood and then many times we were building fencing far away from any electricity, and so we brought a generator out there with us. So it was like, oh, if you have plenty of plugs and you have enough, actual power behind it, because a lot of trucks now, like the one I'm sitting in now, just to do this interview, will have like a plug just so you can, but it doesn't have that much power to it. So you can plug in your laptop. That's basically what it's for. But on the B1, you'll be able to put in a table saw, a chain, not chainsaw, a table saw, a circular saw, and all that kind of stuff, and run multiple tools at a time. It'll handle it, so you'll be able to actually use it in that kind of way. So yeah, I love that part, and I love the pass-through door with where the long boards can go. Those are my two favorite features. Because even if you have a pickup truck like the one I'm sitting in, even a full bed, it can only hold 10, 11-foot boards, because by the time they're bouncing out the back. So, but with the pass-through, it's 12 feet with, just inside the, sorry, my brother is texting me like crazy here right now while we talk. And so, but if you put down the back tailgate, you can have 12-foot boards, and then it goes out the back even further. So you can hold longer boards than a pickup truck in our B1, which is about the length of a Wrangler Unlimited. So it's great.
Well, that kind of answers the question I was just going to ask, which is what makes the B1 unique. But you just kind of listed all the features, so there you go.
And then also if you compare it, because I compare it a lot to pickup trucks, because that's what I've been driving for a long time.
Sure.
Also on most pickup trucks, you'll see they have the lock box that they bought from Tractor Supply, and it's sticking in the back part, and that's their lockable space for their tools. Well, our frunk is lockable space, so you don't need that either. So we have just all these different things in the truck that just make it useful on every day and for everything. And then the team, they brought, in addition to like working out how all those kind of things could work so great for the truck, also the 15-inch ground clearance that they created with the portal gear hubs, and how to the motors, the dual motors, the whole layout of the chassis, how it could hold all that power, how it could hold two motors, the battery pack in the middle. So it just came together really, really well because of the team. It's incredible. So.
How did you assemble your team? Were they people you had known from the past, or were they totally new guys, or what?
No, what had happened was I was like, let's try this crazy thing, and so I put an ad out on LinkedIn and just said, looking for engineers who wants to help me build an all electric car company. And I was just like, I put that out there, like who's going to respond to this? Got a ton of response, and then Carl was just head and shoulders above all the people who responded, and met with him, and it was just like perfect. So he was the first team member, and the chief engineer. So he's been running the whole show for a long time now. And then CJ and John came to us from CJ from New York, and Rochester Institute of Technology, and John from Rensselaer. But so we kind of just found people through online ads. But it was, with us being out in the middle of nowhere in the Catskills, it was great because we found kind of crazy people who were willing to go out in the middle of nowhere and try to build this truck. So the team is like all like-minded in that way. So it's great.
Awesome. Do you think there's going to be a lot of, there's all this talk about an EV revolution happening, where suddenly in the next 10 or 15 years, everything will be electric? Do you think that that's likely?
Yeah, I think that's very likely. I think it's all about the batteries, of course. That's what everyone talks about for years now, is the cost of the batteries. And not just the cost, it's the power density of them. Because even if they were, 1/10 the price, you can only fit so many in a vehicle. You can only get so much energy storage for a certain amount of distance. So I think it's all about that, and those are all happening. There a lot of that battery technology is happening from like the Apple and Google side of the world, because they want to put as much energy into their smartphones, right? So, and then it trickles up or down or sideways to automotive. So it's not a direct thing, but I think that all batteries, the whole world is going to be living off of batteries in one form or another. And so at that critical point when battery density is 5 times and the cost of them is 1/5 kind of thing, that's when just it'll just make so much more sense to have electric, because there's electric at everyone's house. You don't need the infrastructure, and also just the efficiency, the torque, and all that. Of course, it's green in the sense that it's emission free at the vehicle, but of course, it's how you create the energy. And then with certain states like California and Iowa and stuff being like over 50% with green energy now, then the whole circle starts to make sense. And then it's green from beginning to end. So it's all moving that direction. And also we're going to be hitting peak oil soon, right? So after that, everything really changes. So.
Is there, maybe this is too early to ask this, but is there plans for like a B2, a B3? Is that down the line or?
Yeah, we have a B1. The B1 that you know now is the 2-door. We've been working on the 4-door version of it, and that stays the name of B1 because it's the same, basic layout. But we do have a B2 that's in the works right now, so we're going to be probably announcing, showing that and talking about that in maybe in September, October. So that'll be shown as a rendering and what we're planning, and then the next 6 to 9 months will be finishing up all that engineering and then making those prototypes. Because the 4-door is not just a stretched version of the 2-door. We've been engineering for 6 months now of getting it closer to production. So changing how the body panels, you don't see it visually, it stays the same look, but changing how the body panels connect to the body, how the chassis is made, so that's all on a manufacturing direction rather than a hand-built prototype direction, which of course it has to become. So there's been those changes. We changed our battery supplier, and the battery that we've changed to is this great new battery that's not actually even quite out yet, but it's being tested fully with all the miles and testing, all the kind of stuff from the supplier. So it's a tier 1 supplier. And so our battery, when we come out, will be, of the time and not something that everyone's kind of walking away from, which it was. So the next prototype B1 is going to be just 10 times more advanced towards that direction. So it's very exciting, ton of work, and it's the kind of stuff that we try to show online with our videos and stuff, and try to keep updates. But you can't show all that kind of stuff. It's kind of not as much fun to show a guy sitting at a computer doing a ton of CAD. But there's a lot of guys doing a lot of CAD right now, and women too, of course. So it's great.